Good morning, everybody. My name is Joshua Corzantes with Therap Services, and I have my colleagues Letitia and Catherine on. And today we're just going to go ahead and walk you through our new release coming up. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. So here are our release notes. For our upcoming release, you can go ahead to our main website, therapservices.net. And over here to the right, you'll always see when we are going to release anything. You'll also go ahead and see a splash message letting you know that the release notes have been published. So let's just go ahead and get started with our release notes there from the very top. And we're going to start off with ISP data. For those of you that have been using ISP data, we just want you guys to know that from now on, you will be able to ASCOM both in prep and deleted ISP data forms. So once you complete an ISP data, if you wish to ASCOM it, you will have the ability to ASCOM that from within the form, and then you'll also have the ability to choose ISP data within your ASCOM section as well. And if at any time you have any questions, feel free to click on the question box in your control panel there, and then one of us will answer your question as soon as we can. The next thing we wanted to show you is Isp Data Reports, and I did want to go ahead and show you guys that. If you guys are not familiar, you do have the ability to go into your Therap beta, which is you can access that by going to www.beta.therapservices.net, and feel free to log into that as you normally would. Log into your system, and then you'll see our beta site there. Just a couple tips there for you. If you get a login failed message, that basically what beta is a snapshot of your system. So we'll take a picture of your system, and then we'll add our new enhancements that are coming up in the new release. And then from there, you can go ahead and take a look at anything new coming up within Therap. If you do get a login failed message within it, just try using an old password as a snapshot we took may have been prior to you changing your password. So it's going to be a new look here when you're creating an ISP data report. So if I come in here to ISP data and click report, I'll go ahead and choose my program, and I will choose an individual. And on the ISP program list, you will now have the option of choosing your status here. So you can either view all, or just your approved, or just discontinued if you had any there. So that will give you the ability to do that from there. Next on the list is programmatic reports. They cannot be generated if the date range is over 2 years. So you can't go more than 2 years at a time with your programmatic reports. You can go 2 years, however. So if you wanted to compare all of 2017 to all of 2018, you can do so. And then your clinician reports won't be able to go more than 1 year. Couple changes we made to the clinician report here. You will now have title next to service provider within your clinician report. And then lastly, for ISP data reports, we do have the agency logo and PDF information from your provider preferences will appear in the data collection monthly.
Josh, one question before you move to GERs.
Sure.
So with the ISP data in ASCOM, can you do it from a provider account, like day and residential, to a case management account?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Can you ASCOM ISP data from a provider account to a case management account?
That is actually a great question that I have not tested. I want to say yes, but I will answer that question while Letitia's presenting. Is that okay, Louise?
Yeah. Oh.
I thought, sorry. Yeah. All right. Our next thing is for GERs, just a couple changes to GERs. First off, For your attachments, you do now have the ability to add document storage and lookup. So if you've noticed, we've done this with quite a few modules, and you'll see this slowly phasing into all of our modules there, where anytime you can add an external attachment, you'll be able to look up from your document storage. So if you prefer to add documents to your document storage, you can go ahead and just search them there and just create that link there. Another thing to our GER section, for the medication error type, a medication count discrepancy type has been added. So you will now be able to choose that as a type of med error. Next is anybody with the 13-month search is going to be able to do GER searches by leaving the date fields blank and just entering individual. So basically, you'll be able to search an entire history of just one individual if you leave all your date ranges off. We do have quite a few additions per state when it comes to the GER. For this one, you have some Arizona and Connecticut. I won't go through these, but these are specific to your state. Feel free to take a look at those and then see what changes are coming in for your specific states.
So, med error question, can you explain what a count discrepancy and a med error would mean?
That would basically mean if you had pill counts and you had a discrepancy of counts, and then you needed to send that off to your given state as a medication error. It's also, you can also use this if people are taking this medication on their own, if they're self-medicating and you're seeing those as well, you can document those. All right. Next up, we do have our Ger Resolution, which I am going to go ahead and show you guys now. Ger Resolution has had quite a bit of a revamp. So if you are not using Ger Resolution, it is actually free to anybody. It's a way to document any investigations or findings into GERs in the system. It is free for you to use. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to your local implementation specialist and they can walk you through that. Once you approve a GER, they will go into the unaddressed GER section of the Ger resolution. So I can come in here, and then here I'll see that I had an approved GER, and then I can go ahead and start a resolution for this. Here you'll have the form ID to that GER, so I can always refer back to that GER if I needed to, and I can look into that specific GER itself. You'll also see if this was a link to a multi-individual event. You'll see your notification level and then abuse, neglect, exploitation. Here you'll have general information regarding the resolution here. So you have your date you opened, your date closed, and any extra things which we've already had in past forms. Now with each section of our GER resolution, you'll be able to add those in as you go. First off, you do have an investigator section. So if I did need to come in here and say that Catherine was going to be an investigator for this and I'm assigning her to this, I can go ahead and add her in. And then now you'll see that Catherine has been added as an investigator and she was assigned by Joshua. You'll be able to come in here and add investigators narratives. So was this an evidence, follow-up, interview, phone call, visit, or other, and then add your comments in as well. You still have the involved persons section, which we've had in the past, but now you can add these in one by one. So I can come in here and say that Sarah here was a witness. I can add her comments in. You have your resolution summary where you can write a narrative, a notes, and any staff actions that were done, and you have 10,000 characters to do so within this section here. Down at the end, you have your recommendations, your date recommended, person responsible, which is anybody that has access to that person on their caseload, the date this was completed, and any recommendations. You also have the option of adding up to 10 megabytes of supported documents via adding a file. So I can come in here, add file. This also has the document storage lookup. So if I have these things stored in document storage, I can just look these up instead of adding them from my computer. And then lastly, you have any comments, and then you'll save it and go as is. Once you save your GER resolution, it'll come in here to your open resolutions, and then open investigations are things that are assigned to you. So I come in here and see what's open. Here I have 3 that are currently open. Here's the one that I just did. And then I can go ahead and take a look and add any more comments as necessary. Does anybody have any questions on that? All right, great. Let's get back to our release notes here. We have some new additions to our SCOM section as well. For any of you super admins here that have the message audit, we've added, when you download the PDF, you will see who acknowledged that SCOM as well. Another addition that many people have asked for is when you're creating an individual care type SCOM. Now when you attach Therap form attachments, you'll only see the modules that you have available to you within your super role. So if you only have access to a couple modules within your super role, you only see those instead of all. For any of our folks using two-factor authentication, we've made some changes to our two-factor authentication. You can now force activate when you're creating their accounts. So if you do have two-factor authentication enabled in your account and you go to create a new user, you can force the two-factor authentication when you're creating that user. Another cool feature here that we have is that when you are entering your one-time password, you do have the ability to click trust this device in browser, and you won't need to re-enter your one-time password for another 15 days. You can also manage your list of one-time password trusted devices from your settings tab as well. And currently, two-factor authentication, if any agency is interested, is currently free to users. So if you are interested, once again, please reach out to your local support or salesperson, and they'll be more than happy to help you out with that. We are updating our user interface. As everybody knows that's been with us for a while here, we're updating little by little all of our user interface. Up next is our user import from Excel, which is now going to include uploaded info searches. So if you did want to see what you imported, on your last import, you can actually search those and view your actual import file that you imported into the system. Our sign up agreement is still the same, but we're just upgrading it to the new user interface there. So you'll see that a little bit differently. Just keep in mind that you do have your drop downs for your type and your status there. So that's going to be a new feature. You're also going to see that we're unveiling with this release is going to be those drop down boxes within the column headers. A couple changes with the program. Once again, you'll see the drop-down box within the column header. And also, when you do deactivate a program, you do have the option of discharging all individuals within that program. However, the discharge date cannot be earlier than any of the enrollment dates for that program. So just keep that in mind when you're going ahead and discharging everybody from a program when deactivating. With our sites as well, you'll also have the drop-down box within the column header. A new feature we have in Therap is our IVR, or our interactive voice response. This is meant to be used with our scheduling/EVV module, where you can go ahead and actually call in to a phone number instead of having to log into a computer or anything like that to confirm your EVV information. IVR functionality needs to be enabled for your agency. And if you want more information, please contact one of your local reps there, and we'll be more than happy to help you there. Just real quick, I'll go through the IVR. Just keep in mind, Stephanie Norden will be doing her ongoing scheduling webinars, which she'll go into this in much more detail and depth. I'll just give a general overview of what basically you'd have to do. Once we do enable IVR for your agency, you'll need to configure your settings. You'll have your username, and we will generate your own user ID. This is basically going to be your ID that will be your permanent ID for when you call in. You'll also generate your own PIN. So it'll be a 6-digit code, and obviously it must be numbers because you'll be calling in from a phone. And that will be your basically your login name and password when you call in to confirm your EVV. You'll be given a phone number on which to call, and then once you call, you'll basically enter your user ID, you'll enter your PIN number, and then you'll enter your one-time password, and then slot ID, which is basically coming from our scheduling module. Each module will now have a slot ID that you can have with you, and then you can go ahead and check in and check out over the phone. This is how it'll look for folks that use their scheduling module. That this is how they'll see that someone actually checked in on their phone there, what phone number they used, and what phone number they used to check out. You'll also get location as well. You'll also have the ability to print what we call an offline schedule, and this is basically you printing your schedule for the week. You'll have the option of printing up to 7 days in advance, so you can see your schedule there. Once you print your schedule as a staff, you'll have your start time and end time, and you'll also have your slot ID. So that way you have that information handy when you're calling in to clock in and out. Some changes to our actual scheduling module as well. We have a new field named Self-Check-Inable Service. This is now going to be if you want your staff to be able to create a schedule when they're out on the field there. They can go ahead and you can decide which services they can self-check in and self-check out for without having a schedule, or a scheduled slot rather. So here you'll be able to create a self-check-inable slot. Here's how it'll look for the staff when they'll just create their start date, end date, their individual. This is good for when you have a therapist out on the field and someone's requesting a meeting. Obviously, someone that's a schedule admin doesn't have the ability to create that schedule at the time, so they can just create their own schedule basically. We've added slot ID and self-check in to all forms for your slots. We also have another option here, which is called Disable Strict Address Validation for Check-in. This is basically saying if you are using Therap's mobile app to check in, sometimes GPSs only find partial addresses instead of full addresses, and it's all due to your device or your GPS or even your location. You can disable the strict address validation, so that way if the GPS only finds a partial address, it'll go ahead and still allow that entry there. With this release, users will now be able to add up to 50 services per staff. Currently, we were at 6, and now it's going to go up to 50. So you can now add up to 50 services per staff. We've also had the ability to search, added the ability to search scheduling from within the module section up here at the top of your dashboard. So if you just type in scheduling, you'll see all our scheduling stuff there. Another cool feature that we've added is when you are looking at the schedule and someone has checked in with a more than a 15-minute difference, you'll actually see a red line bordering that slot. We've also added an export to PDF link for our schedule search page. So now if you wanted to print out a schedule, you can go ahead, export this to PDF, and then you'll have a copy of your schedule you can post or keep in somewhere else. You'll also see the verification. So if someone used either the signature pad or a new voice verification, which I'll show you guys in a bit, you'll be able to see that from within the slot there. We've made some changes to our mobile apps. Number one, if you are using an outdated version of our Therap app, once you log in, you will now receive a message that you need to upgrade to the latest version to continue using the app. So you will not be able to use our app until you upgrade to the latest version. In our mobile apps, we have added the self-check-in option there. So as I stated before, if you do have the ability to self-check-in, you can go ahead and add that there. Here's how the self-check-in looks. And then another new feature we've added is a verify link. So you'll be able to add a signature verification. And our new feature will be a voice verification. So you can actually record someone's voice as your verification of services provided. And then you'll see there that it was verified with voice here. And those will appear with a green check mark. Next up is case notes. For any case note users, we are introducing a new bulk PDF printing option. So basically here you'll be able to print off bulk PDFs here. And just keep in mind that you cannot go more than 24 case notes at once, as you'll see here. Does anybody have any questions? Have I missed anything there? Sorry, I've been just going and going.
No, you're good. As far as questions that have come in.
All right, awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue with our next section, which is going to be our MAR. And then I will go ahead and show you that. So we made some changes to our MAR. First off, we've enhanced the new user to our new user interface within our due medications report. So if I go to my health tab and then I go into my data here and I go into due medications, you'll see a new user interface. So if I wanted to see what medications were overdue for today, I can come in here and then just show overdue and then click show. And then here it'll tell me that these 5 medications are overdue. And another new functionality that we are adding is the export to Excel down here. Just keep in mind you will need the export to Excel role in your user privileges in order to be able to export this. We're also changing our MAR reports up a bit here as well. So I come here and go to my report section. We have our new user interface for our reports. So if I do a custom report, you'll also have that there. And I can go ahead and add some stuff here. Might have to go back a bit for some data. You'll also see when I generate my report, it's going to have the new user interface there. You also have the printables and exports section down at the bottom where I can take this out to PDF or export this out to Excel. Also in my MAR reports, we've changed the detailed report as well to a new user interface. So if I come in here, you can do your person search, and then if I go back a couple months there, I can go ahead and generate that report, and then here's my MAR detailed report. Same thing, you have a printables and export section, so I can come in here and take this out to either PDF or Excel. The PRN follow-up report also follows our new user interface. So I can come in here and then generate my report there. And then you have your PRN follow-up report, which you can also take out to PDF. Next thing we have is a feature that many people have asked for as well, is a discontinued copy for medication history. So if I come in here to medication history and go search, and let's say I need to come into her Kepra here. Down at the bottom, you'll have a new option for discontinue and copy. So instead of before where you had to copy the medication, then come back and discontinue it, now you can do it straight from this form. Once you go discontinue and copy, it'll ask you for a reason. And then you also have the option of adding the effectiveness if you wish. Once you do that, you can discontinue and it'll open a new form. Keep in mind that this is an exact discontinue and copy for those of you guys that will be using this, which means your begin date and begin time will be exactly the same. So if you needed to make any changes to that, you want to make sure. Also, if I come in here and just try to submit this, you'll also have, and it didn't come here, let me go ahead and change the end date. I didn't have an end date on this one. So if let's say I had an end date of yesterday, you'll have a new message that says this medication ends on a past date. So if you're doing a discontinue and copy on a medication with an end date, just keep in mind that you need to change your dates prior to submitting this for your MAR once again. Tina, I saw your question there. Your MAR report will show all individuals if you leave the name field blank. So it'll show everybody on your caseload. All right, also some changes to the medication review here. So if I come in here to medication review and create my review list, I want to create one for Mary here. And if I want to see all active meds for today, I can just put today as my start and end date, if anybody wasn't familiar with that. And then I can go ahead and show medications. And then I can choose which medications I want to appear on my PDF. One addition we added to this page here is we've added our scheduled times here. So you'll see you have your 8, 12, and 5. Then once I go ahead and export these out to PDF, nope, might have to minimize this first, sorry. You'll see we also added our scheduled times to our PDF printout, but we've also added the instruction comments and indication purpose if you have those entered within the medication history. And that is our medication review. Changes to the IDF, we're changing our advanced directive. So I search an IDF here. Here's Mary's IDF. And as I scroll down to the advanced directive section, we have our new user interface with some extra additions here. So here's our new user interface for advanced directives where you can put yes, no, whether they have a DNR. You'll also have date, which we already had, but you can also add a file here as well. So if there is an actual signed DNR, then you can go ahead and attach that to the IDF. Does anybody have any questions there? All right, Letitia.
Sure. You want to change me to the presenter?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. So right where Josh left off, first thing on the list here is individual support plan. Not too much changing there, just the confirmation pages. So the confirmation pages did have, PHI, it had, the form ID, the individual's name, ID number, and that information is getting removed from the confirmation page. And that's really all your confirmation. So if you were to submit it, approve it, that confirmation page is going to look like this. The change form, that one as well is getting changed, and that's what it will look like with the appropriate form ID. Employment history. I'm going to spend a little bit of time kind of walking you through some of these. But I do want to let you know, if you are using employment history or you are interested in it, Ebony, who's sort of our employment history expert, is doing a webinar on Thursday at 1 o'clock. It is on the website. You can register for that. And so she'll probably go into more depth and really be able to speak to these a little bit more. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check out her webinar, or if that time doesn't work, check out the recording. Overall, without saying much, we're changing to the new user interface with employment history. So you'll see, it's with one exception, the assessment section of that is still going to be in the old user interface, but all of the other sort of modules or sections within are being changed to the new UI. And with that, as I scroll through, you'll see some things that are being changed with it. Another change is that employment history will no longer be in test mode. And as I sit here and call it employment history, if anybody was using it, you probably know it used to be called employment/volunteer history, and we're taking that volunteer part out of it. So you can see here, there's a screenshot, so that's what it will look like after the update. Okay. And certainly that's what it will look like on the PDF and activity tracking. So just a short name, just employment history. We also changed the order, so these are just getting flopped. I mean, all your data will certainly stay as is, but career development plan was below employment milestone, and they're just getting switched out on there. Okay, some changes with the employer. The county is being removed, and then the zip code, it's going to be called zip code instead of just zip. So just small changes like that with some of this new UI, but then there's some really awesome things within too that you'll find. Individual name and form ID at the top, employment history, the link to get back to everything. It used to be at the top, now it's at the bottom. So again, if you are using this, take a peek at it and just get used to the new feel for it. All of the sections are getting an eye icon. And, if you're using some of the modules that are in the new user interface, such as ISP data or T-logs, you may be used to that eye icon that's at the top of a form. And so that eye icon is getting added, such as who created the form, when it was last updated, with dates and times. Because that wasn't there or isn't there now, when we do the release, anything that was the information that was already there, it's going to come across as Therap system administrator. Okay, but the very next time somebody goes in and updates it, certainly it's going to get changed to their information, or if someone starts a new employment history record, it will be their information. But that historical information, isn't currently there, so that's what it's going to look like in the beginning. Okay. Adding in time zones, just showing you how you can see that show other activities in the eye icon. We're adding a cancel button to all of the different sections. Before it was just back, update, delete, and that cancel button would just take you all the way back out to dashboard. It says it a little bit later in the release notes here, but the cool thing with that that's getting added is when you hit cancel or back, if you try to do one of those, or I was playing with it earlier and I clicked dashboard, it actually warns us. So just to show you, that warns you that you didn't save your info, that is. So let me just open up in demo here, my demo account in beta. Let me open up, I'll do someone that I've got some info on, Sue Belvin. Okay, and so let's say I was going to one of those new sections that's in the new UI. So if I was adding in a referral, I start to put in some information, and then I just click cancel. It tells me, are you sure you want to leave? Because we're not saving, you didn't click save. So pretty cool. And again, it does that. I did cancel, if I do back, if I do dashboard. Okay, so sort of a little safety net there for your staff putting that in. But that cancel button is being added. Employer field is now searchable on the drop-down list. And so as things become searchable in the new UI, it works like the search fields that you're used to. Again, if maybe you're searching ISP data or T-logs, and you can type into these fields and select from a drop-down there. Again, just another screenshot from that new UI. Okay. You can now search by benefits, so it's an added field. So if you wanted to just search a job template that offers paid vacation, you could do that. Same with skills, you'd be able to do that. Some more choices have been added to the job template and training coaching forms. So here's the list of things that have been added. You can see them there in that screenshot. And then the attachment section just looks a little bit different in that new UI. Some error messages were added. I'm not sure exactly what the error messages were before, but just a little bit more specific, and you can kind of see what some of those errors there are. I'm gonna scroll past that. Some of the Excel downloads have been updated. So when you're doing a search, so if you're searching for employment milestones, for example, the search screen itself may be a little more condensed or a little more less information, I should say. But that export to Excel is going to include a lot of fields. So comments, description, all of those different things here listed will be on that Excel. Created date is getting added to the search page here. And again, comments showing on that Excel download. Here's an example of an archive file. Again, some of this is just new UI, adding in an ID number. I'm going to skip through some of this here. I already talked about that. Changing with employers, so just a few changes with the contact information, the way that it's visible in the new UI, being able to see those different phone numbers along with the extension of that employer. Again, more fields being added in different sections. This one being able to sort, so on contact person or job template, being able to sort by either last name or position title, where previously it was just in the order that the default order we gave you. Now you can sort that. Okay. Same here. A maximum of 10 contact persons, job templates, contact interactions with employer will be shown. So you'll see up to 10, and then you can use the next page buttons to go through. So again, just a different feel for that look of the new UI. I'm not gonna read every little thing. Okay, this one is something new. Okay, so it's a brand new field. And we've actually, I've heard us be asked of this in the past. Makes a lot of sense. So we're adding in job category, or some people might think, job type, or I'm trying to think of another word. But anyways, job category is getting added so that you'll be able to not only specify, that this job for Walmart is in the retail industry. You'll be able to search by that as well. So if you have individuals that are interested in particular fields, you'll be able to search by those and be able to document, certainly as you create those new jobs or notified of them and put them in, you can have that category there. So really cool there, addition. So again, there are some additions in here, and this is just how to search for it, along with that new UI. All of the different sections, as if you don't have any information, let's just say no to that. And let me go back. It's just going to say nothing found to display. So if I go back to my main page here, you can see, which we'll talk about this in a minute, funding source, but I don't have anything in this section, so it says nothing found to display. So that way, if you, we're doing the PDF or whatnot, you know that it just wasn't missed. Again, some changes with the PDF. This is actually sort of a super role change. So this job employer search, and this is from the individual tab, that's there right now. So it's not a new feature, but who has that? It's going to be with certain super roles. So employment submit, employment approve, and employment update are going to be the people that see that on their individual tab. And the people with just employment delete or view won't have that job employer search. Certainly if you had view plus submit, you would see it, because that's going to supersede, having these roles. But any one of those three roles or a combination would give you that on your dashboard. So if you have people or job coaches that are, regularly using that, definitely check, make sure that they're still going to have access there. And that's just how to do it. Couple things added to the referral source, day program, ORS, self-directed, and state social worker. Again, the assessment didn't change to the new UI, but the assessment score now can, this is the error message that it has to be under 999. So if you type in more than that, it's going to give you that error. 180 days job placement is a new field added to milestone type. Said I wasn't going to show you everything, and we're showing you a lot. New things been added here, or I'm sorry, it's not new. It's just been reordered. So it's got first interview, second interview, in-person, phone. The order of that drop down was changed. Just the formatting there of that. More things added to drop downs. So 5 new categories here for job type. So again, if you are using this, go play around with it. This is a whole new field altogether. Well, I guess it was a text box, so it's a whole new drop down. So reason for job loss, and there's going to be a drop down in there that pretty much covers everything, as you can see there. Kind of skipping through a little bit. Okay, some stuff that's new. So again, pretty much everything except assessment is going to the new user interface with employment history. Couple of changes on drop downs here and there and the searches and stuff. But again, the big change there is the new UI. There's two new, completely brand new sections that are being added to employment history. So the first one is funding source, and that's right up at the top. And I can go ahead and add in a new funding source. And then I have a drop down here, private pay, state funding. We'll say it's waiver. And if I have a start date and end date, I don't know, maybe it was a while back. Maybe there isn't an end date, it's ongoing, and I can put any comments in there. Attachment if needed, and I can click create. If I just go back to viewing Sue's employment history, you'll see that funding source is added on there. So I can add multiples, or if this one ended with the attachment and then I needed a new a waiver funding source, I could add that. Maybe I get a new one every year or whatnot, but I can add in funding sources. So that's one new section. The other new section, let's find it here, there it is variance. Okay, variance, if you get into beta right now or look at these release notes, you'll see it's not quite finished. We're still in the works of this drop down, but it'll be there shortly. And you have the option to add in a variance, the date of that variance, any comments, and an attachment. Once we update this list, I think you'll get a much better idea of where you can use this. Again, if you go to Ebony's webinar, she can explain it a little bit. My sort of take or what I believe it's going to be for is if somebody has sort of a variance not to work. Maybe they are happy and they're enrolled in day program and that's the setting that they choose. And maybe they have sort of a variance for that on their employment record. But again, I'm not the employment expert, so definitely take a peek at Ebony's webinar for more to come on that one. And there we go with that warning. Yes, I'm okay that I don't need to save that variance. So those are the two brand new sections on employment. Any questions in the employment section before I move on? Okay, don't think so. All right, so then the next is questionnaire. Those of you that use questionnaire, you may be tying this to the priority list, the case note, a couple of state forms that we have, but those are the most popular. So a few changes here, one being that the answer option has increased to 500 characters, was usually or previously 250. So that's nice there. The number of characters for the text in a multi-line has increased to 3,000. So that will make people happy as well, hopefully. A couple new types, and if you use a questionnaire, you know that these are super customizable. And just when I thought it couldn't get even more customizable, it did. And so now a couple new type of answers you can have is a time, and the other new one is an address. So those are being added to questionnaire. And then that's sort of just a screenshot of what the time would look like, and then an address. Okay. Priority list, it's only one thing, it's a short update, but it's very significant. If anybody's interested in the priority list, it's a way to track basically all your admissions and detail of which priority list for which service they're on. And what's being added is on the main page of priority list, is you'll be able to see their priority. Previously, that category wasn't there, so you couldn't sort by it, and now you can, which is very important if you're collecting all this data and you need to see your high priority individuals because you have an opening. You'll be able to sort by that. And also enrollment sequence is being added, so the system will automatically sort of do a first come, first serve for you if you go by that for admissions. and then exit reason is being added. And then all of those categories are then on the export to Excel. So really cool, really good change there for priority list. Makes me excited. I like that module. Referral. A couple things here. Case management users will now be able to configure notifications for the referral module, and those are all the different options that they can say yes or no to get notified of, and then certainly which device or method. Case management, previously couldn't have this many profiles, and now they can. So they're going to be able to have up to 4 profiles. That's just for a case management user. But if you do have a case management user account, you can go ahead and have up to 4 profiles. And with that, one of the profiles, you can go ahead and assign a new caseload that's coming out called AICMC, which is all individuals in a case management. I hope I said that. Okay. And also, okay, it was really worded. It was wordy up there. And then the employment view is going to be able to be added to their shared super roles there. So oversight referral, also part of that shareable super role, and sort of what it would look like. Not sure how many people are on from North Dakota. We kind of have a smaller group today. So there's a couple state-specific sections in here. Definitely make sure you get in touch if you're from a state with your region team. But some things in North Dakota, the OSP or overall service plan, all the text boxes are getting updated to the rich text field. So you'd see that sort of change there. And then some changes to the pre-auth in North Dakota. Okay. And I'm not going to get into all of that. A lot of it is very state specific, you know, based on regulations and whatnot. So if you're from that state, it's probably going to all sound pretty familiar. Okay. Just a couple billing things. So again, a new UI. Well, you're going to keep hearing this from us, so we get everything switched over to that new UI. So the new user interface is now for the billing data form. So you would see that if you're doing any billing data. Also going to be able to, with that search for a revenue code. So if that was something, it wasn't there before and you want to be able to search by that, that's going to be added, and it can be one of your output columns on the report, and that's what it would look like if you chose it as an output. So just another cool thing when you get added fields. It's always a nice thing to have additions. Claim create date is also being added as an output, but that's going to be on the billing reconciliation report. So again, something wasn't there getting added. Service auth. So just like we added that in SCOM, you can attach ISP data. Now we're also, with this release, adding that you can attach a service authorization to an SCOM, okay, and sort of what that would look like. Now, when you go to actually compose the SCOM, and you're doing an individual care SCOM, and then you click to attach, you're only going to see, you know, the modules that you have access to. But if you do have service auth and you need to attach that to send it out, you have that ability. And then next, you know, some specifics for New York, and I'm not really going to get into these ones in great detail. Want to let you know, if you didn't already know this, that we're having a webinar for New York to cover this stuff in detail. That's Thursday at 11. The employment one is Thursday at 1. Okay, both of those are on the website. Register for them if they apply to you. It is a big change, and so anybody using attendance-based services in New York, they have to make sure that the ISP data that they're using to count towards their billing is checked that yes, it's billable. If it's not selected either answer or selected no, that's going to result in no billing units or red boxes before you end up trying to generate. So definitely going to cause an issue if you don't have that selected as yes. Again, you want more detail on that, come to Thursday webinar. And then a brand new feature is being added. So we have different rates for daily supervised IRAs and being able to have more than one rate codes for the different tiers, as you can see in this example here. Questions? Wow, well, that took us a whole hour. So quite a bit of stuff coming. If you didn't notice, there is a splash message up now when you log in that's got the downtimes, per time zone. So that is happening this weekend, sort of Saturday night into Monday. I think it says Monday because it's after 12 a.m. when it gets started, but it's sort of in that third shift overnight from Sunday to Monday, which is a little bit later. Usually we do them sort of the Saturday to Sunday overnight. So pay attention, make sure you know who that affects at your agency and are ready for that downtime. It's planned right now for it to be 3 hours. And again, that's posted with your time zone in the splash message. But all this stuff will be coming out and available to you guys. I will let you go if nobody else has any questions. Anything you need to add, Josh?
Nope, you did great. Thanks, Letitia. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. All right, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.